The first time my mother called me her daughter in front of other people after 25 years of treating me like an awkward relative was the same night she asked me for $240,000. It happened at Thanksgiving. 21 people were sitting around my parents' dining room table outside Seattle. My younger sister Lauren was wearing the engagement ring everyone had apparently spent 3 months discussing except me. Her fiancé was beside her. My father was carving turkey. My mother, Diane, stood at the end of the table holding a wine glass and smiling with the exact expression she used whenever a camera was nearby. This year, she announced, our family finally feels complete again. I almost laughed because 4 months earlier she had ignored my 33rd birthday. 5 years earlier she had called my college graduation a pity parade for people who took too long to figure life out. When I was 8, she had packed 2 suitcases and sent me to live with my grandmother on the Oregon coast because, according to her, everyone needs a little space. That little space lasted 11 years. But now an article about the company I had built and sold was circulating online, and suddenly my mother was raising a glass to our brilliant Hannah. Everyone clapped. Lauren smiled. Dad stared at his plate. Then Mom set down her wine and slid a cream-colored folder toward me. We thought this could be your chance to do something meaningful for the whole family. Inside was a wedding budget for Lauren. Venue, catering, flowers, photographer, honeymoon, a down payment for a house afterward, repairs to my parents' roof, a little family emergency reserve. At the bottom, circled in gold ink, was my expected contribution, $240,000. Lauren touched my arm. It sounds huge, but after your company sale, it's honestly not huge for you, my mother added. And after everything this family sacrificed while you were finding yourself, we thought you'd want to give something back. The room went quiet enough for me to hear the refrigerator running in the kitchen. I looked at the folder, then at my mother, then at the old phone sitting beside my plate. I had brought it with me for one reason. Before I answer, I said, I think everyone should hear something Grandma Evelyn kept for 25 years. My father's knife stopped halfway through the turkey. My mother went pale. Not confused, pale. That was how I knew before I even pressed play that she remembered exactly what was on it. The recording began with static, then my grandmother's voice saying, Diane, I'm putting this on the machine because I want you to hear yourself tomorrow. Then my mother's younger voice filled the dining room. Keep Hannah through Christmas. Lauren is finally relaxed when she isn't here. Robert gets weak when Hannah cries, and then we're right back to everything revolving around her. Tell Hannah the school near you is better. Tell her whatever you need to tell her. I just need one child in this house who doesn't turn every day into a problem. Nobody moved. Lauren's face emptied. My father closed his eyes. The recording continued. And don't send that money directly to her. She doesn't need to know what you're giving. I'll handle it. She already has you. Lauren has us. Then a click. Silence. My mother whispered. That is completely out of context. I looked at her. I was 8. And that was when Thanksgiving stopped being about a wedding. My name is Hannah Reed. I am 33 years old. And for most of my life I believed I had been sent away because there was something fundamentally difficult about me. Too sensitive, too serious, too observant, too intense. Too much like my grandmother. Every family has labels. The dangerous ones are the labels given to children before they are old enough to challenge them. Lauren was easy. Hannah was difficult. Lauren was affectionate. Hannah was moody. Lauren loved family. Hannah preferred being alone. Lauren needed support. Hannah was independent. Once those labels existed, every event became evidence. If Lauren cried, someone had hurt her. If I cried, I was dramatic. If Lauren needed money, she was struggling. If I needed money, I should have planned better. If Lauren forgot a birthday, she was overwhelmed. If I forgot anything, I was selfish. The strangest part is that my parents did not raise us together long enough for those roles to develop naturally. They created them first and then arranged our lives around them. I grew up outside Astoria, Oregon, in a weathered cedar house that belonged to my grandmother Evelyn Brooks. The house sat on a bluff above the Columbia River, where mornings smelled like salt, pine, and coffee. Grandma had been a high school librarian for 37 years. She was not wealthy. Her furniture had been purchased gradually over decades. Her kitchen table had scratches from my mother's childhood homework. The back porch leaned slightly to the left because Grandpa had built it himself and believed levels were government propaganda. He died when I was 5. Grandma never remarried. I arrived 3 years later with 2 suitcases, a stuffed rabbit, 6 books, and the belief that I would be going home after Christmas. That was what Mom said. Just until things settled down. I asked what things. Adult things. At 8, adult things sounded temporary. A plumbing problem, work stress, a sick relative. Something grown-ups fixed while children waited. Grandma made the guest room mine without saying it was permanent. She put my books on the shelf, bought toothpaste I liked, took me to school, signed permission slips, came to parent-teacher conferences. At first, every Friday, I packed a backpack because I thought Dad might come get me. By February, Grandma quietly started unpacking it after I went to sleep. I called my mother every Sunday. The calls got shorter. How's school? Good. Are you behaving for Grandma? Yes. Put her on. Dad talked longer, sometimes. He would ask about soccer or books. Then Mom would say dinner was ready. Lauren was 4 at the time. I could hear her laughing in the background. My family lived 3.5 hours away near Bellevue, Washington, in a large 2-story house with pale stone around the entry and family portraits lining the stairs. I had a bedroom there once. Pink walls. White bookshelf. Glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling. By the time I was 10, the bedroom had become Mom's craft room. I discovered that during a Thanksgiving visit. "Where are my things?" I asked. Mom said, "You barely stay here." Dad said nothing. My old photographs were in a plastic bin in the garage. Lauren had 2 bedrooms by then, her own room and a smaller dance room where Mom installed mirrors so she could practice. I slept on the pull-out sofa. Nobody announced that I had been replaced. Families rarely announce those things. They let furniture explain. Grandma never told me my parents did not love me. She actually defended them longer than I now think she should have. Your mother gets overwhelmed. Your dad hates confrontation. They're trying. Lauren is younger. She refused to poison me because she believed children should not have to carry adult bitterness. I respect that. I also understand now why she began saving letters. My mother and grandmother fought privately for years. I knew because Grandma sometimes ended phone calls with her jaw tight and then washed the same coffee cup for 10 minutes. She never told me what the arguments were about. I assumed they were about me wanting to go home. Later, I learned they were about my mother refusing to let me. By middle school, I stopped asking when I was moving back. That decision made everyone more comfortable. Mom praised me for finally settling. Dad mailed birthday cards. Lauren sent handwritten notes because she was still little, and, despite everything that happened later, my sister was never born knowing how to exclude me. She learned. So did I. I became the child who needed nothing. Grandma had enough money for groceries, school clothes, books, and the occasional movie. Anything extra, I earned. At 14, I started shelving books at the public library. At 16, I worked weekend mornings at a coffee shop, and 3 evenings a week at a small grocery store. I saved for college because I had heard Mom tell Aunt Susan that Hannah has always wanted to do everything the hard way. That was not true. I did things the hard way because I learned early that asking made people irritated. Lauren's adolescence looked different. I watched from photographs, dance competitions, spring break trips. New car at 16. Private SAT tutor. Senior portraits in 3 outfits. Graduation party under a white tent in my parents' backyard with 70 guests. Mom posted, "So proud of our girl. The world is waiting for you." I liked the post. I sent Lauren a necklace. I was 21 and working my way through college in Portland at the time. Lauren called me crying because she loved the necklace. "Wish you were here." "Me too." "Mom said you couldn't get off work. That was interesting because Mom had never asked whether I could. I said nothing. That was how our family worked. My absence was always explained as a choice I supposedly made. Hannah doesn't like big events. Hannah hates photos. Hannah prefers grandmas. Hannah is very independent. Eventually, people stop inviting the person they are told prefers not to come. I studied information systems and healthcare operations, nothing glamorous. I was fascinated by how hospitals could have brilliant doctors and still lose hours every week because scheduling, staffing, and billing systems did not talk to one another. I worked full-time during the last 2 years of school. It took me longer than the traditional 4 years to graduate because I refused to take on more debt than I could realistically manage. I was 28 when I finally finished my bachelor's degree after years of part-time classes, full-time work, and 2 semesters caring for grandma during breast cancer treatment. I was proud of that degree, in a way people who were carried through college may never understand. Every credit represented a week I had almost quit. Every exam represented something I studied for after working 9 hours. Every tuition payment represented money I earned. Graduation was scheduled for June. I mailed invitations to Mom, Dad, Lauren, Grandma, Aunt Susan, and 2 friends. Grandma immediately called. "What should I wear?" "Clothes. Don't be smart. Something blue." "Done." Lauren texted. "I'll try. Work is crazy." Mom did not respond. I called 3 weeks later. "Did you get the invitation?" "Yes." "Are you coming?" Long pause. "Hannah, I don't know why you're making such a production out of this." My stomach tightened. "It's graduation." At 28. Yes. Most people graduate at 22. There it was. I worked. "I know. Grandma was sick." "I know. So?" Mom sighed. "I'm trying to say maybe you shouldn't build this into some giant validation ceremony. You made choices. You took longer. Fine. But I'm not sure everyone needs to rearrange a weekend to celebrate what should have happened years ago." I remember standing outside my office building under a gray Portland sky while people walked around me. "Are you coming?" "We already committed to something." "What?" "Lauren's bridal showcase." My sister was not engaged. She had been dating her boyfriend for 6 months. "What is a bridal showcase?" "Her friend is modeling at a venue. We're making a girls' day." I actually laughed. "You're skipping my graduation for a pretend wedding event?" "Do not be dramatic." "Dad, your father hates these situations." "Does he know?" "Yes." "Is he coming?" "Hannah. Yes or no?" "No." Silence. Then Mom said the sentence that followed me for years. "Honestly, this whole thing feels like a failure ceremony you've turned into a triumph." I did not answer. She continued, softer, almost reasonable. "I'm proud you finished. But sometimes maturity means accepting that not every milestone deserves applause." I hung up. Grandma found me crying in her kitchen that evening. I had driven from Portland to Astoria without calling first. She put soup in front of me and said nothing until I could speak. She called it a failure ceremony. Grandma closed her eyes. "Evelyn?" I looked up. "Did you know they weren't coming?" "Your father called yesterday." "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I hoped he would change his mind." "He won't." "Probably not." "Why does she hate me?" Grandma's face changed. "She doesn't hate you. Then why is everything about me something she needs to shrink?" Grandma sat beside me. "Because some people feel safer when the person they failed believes the failure was mutual." I did not fully understand. She touched my hair. "Graduate anyway." I did. Grandma sat in the front section with my best friend Maya and 2 coworkers. When my name was called, she stood before anyone else and clapped so loudly people around her laughed. I saw her. I smiled. For maybe 5 seconds, the empty seats did not matter. Then they did. After the ceremony, Grandma insisted on photographs. Cap crooked. Diploma in hand. Rain beginning. She cried in every picture. That afternoon, Mom posted 16 photos from a garden luncheon in Bellevue. Lauren in a white sundress. Mom holding champagne. Dad beside a flower wall. Caption: Beautiful afternoon celebrating beautiful beginnings with my favorite girls. Girls, plural. There were 3 women in the picture. Mom, Lauren, Aunt Susan. People commented, "What a gorgeous family. Your daughters are stunning." Someone asked, "Where's Hannah?" Mom replied, "She's busy doing her own thing as usual." I took a screenshot, not because I imagined revenge, because I needed evidence for myself. Evidence that I had not invented the exclusion. Evidence that "you chose distance" was a lie people told because it made them less uncomfortable than "we left you out." That night Lauren called. "Congratulations." "Thanks. Mom said you were mad." "I'm hurt." "She shouldn't have said that." "Which part?" Silence. "The failure thing." "Did she tell you?" "She was upset after you hung up." "She was upset?" "Hannah." "Sorry. I wanted to come." "Then why didn't you?" Another pause. "Mom already booked everything." "You're 25. "I know. Then why does Mom booking lunch decide where you go?" She became defensive. "Can we not do this tonight?" There it was. Even my graduation was becoming inconvenient because my feelings created pressure. "Sure. I love you." "Love you too." I did. That was another complication. Lauren benefited from my exclusion, but she was also raised inside the same system. She had learned that Mom's comfort was the weather. You planned around it. After graduation, something in me changed. Not dramatically. I stopped sending invitations. I stopped driving north for every holiday. I stopped explaining why I could not come. I spent Thanksgiving with Grandma, Christmas morning with friends, Christmas afternoon with her. Mom posted family photos. I stopped checking. Dad called occasionally. Conversations became weather, work, Grandma's health. Lauren and I texted irregularly. I built a life. I joined a hospital technology company and discovered I was very good at finding where operational systems quietly wasted money. Not stealing, not fraud, just inefficiency, duplicate processes, bad scheduling, overtime caused by poor staffing forecasts, claims delayed because one department did not know what another had already done. I started building small tools for my own team, then for another department. Then a hospital partner asked whether they could license one of them. I laughed. My boss did not. "You should build this properly." So I did. Nights, weekends, Grandma's kitchen table. My first prototype had a name so terrible I refused to repeat it. Eventually it became Northline Health Systems, a small software company helping regional hospitals manage staffing and workflow problems. It was not glamorous startup culture, no rooftop parties, no 22-year-olds calling themselves visionaries. Our first office smelled like burnt coffee and printer toner. I hired people slowly. We became profitable. Hospitals renewed. Then larger hospital groups wanted us. By 32, I had 40 employees and a company worth more than anything I had ever imagined owning. I did not tell my family numbers. Mom asked once, "Is it making money yet?" I said yes. "Enough to pay yourself?" "Yes." "Good. I worried when you left a stable job." That was the extent of her interest. Then Grandma got sick again. Pancreatic cancer. No cure this time. She was 79. She took the diagnosis more calmly than I did. "Everybody dies. Can you not?" "No, I mean literally." "Grandma." "Hannah, I am not wasting my remaining months helping you pretend I might become immortal." Same woman who once returned a sweater because, at my age, dry clean only is an insult. I moved part-time back into the coastal house. Ran Northline remotely when possible. Drove her to appointments. We watched terrible British mysteries. She organized drawers aggressively. "Why are you labeling spoons?" "Because after I die, you'll throw everything into boxes." "I will not." "You absolutely will." One evening she said, "Your mother will call when she knows what your company is worth." I laughed. "She doesn't even know what we do." That has never stopped Diane from developing expertise. "Why would she call?" Grandma looked at me. "Because people who ignore your hunger often remember you when your table is full." That's bleak. That's experience. Do you know something? She looked toward the window. I know your mother. Grandma, there are things in my bedroom closet you should read after I'm gone. My chest tightened. Stop. Promise. No. Hannah. Fine. And do not confuse information with obligation. What does that mean? You'll understand. She died 4 months later, on a rainy Tuesday morning, while I was sitting beside her bed reading a novel neither of us liked. Her final coherent sentence to me the night before was, "Never pay full price for patio furniture." I wish I were joking. Grief made the house feel physically wrong. The refrigerator hummed too loudly. Her slippers stayed beside the sofa. Half a crossword puzzle sat on the table. I kept expecting her to call from another room. Mom and Dad came to the funeral. Lauren, too. Mom wore black, cried beautifully, accepted condolences like she had been the devoted daughter. I watched people hug her and say, "Evelyn adored your girls." Girls. Again. After the service, Mom approached me near the church steps. "We should talk soon." About what? The house. Grandma's things. Family decisions. Grandma already made arrangements. Her jaw tightened. I mean emotionally. Okay. We've lost so much time. I looked at her. Whose fault was that? She started crying. I felt nothing but exhaustion. Dad touched my shoulder. Not today. That sentence had protected our family from truth my whole life. Not today. Not at dinner. Not at Christmas. Not before Lauren's recital. Not while Mom's stressed. Not while Grandma's sick. Truth was always rude timing. You're right, I said. Not today. I walked away. 2 days later, I opened Grandma's bedroom closet. Cedar chest. Blankets. Letters tied with blue ribbon. A shoebox. An old digital answering machine wrapped in a towel. The first envelope said, "Hannah read everything before calling Enyon. Very Grandma." Inside were copies of checks, old letters, school records, receipts. At first, I did not understand. Grandma had sent my parents money for me for years. Not huge amounts. 2,000 here, 3,000 there. Christmas, school clothes, summer camp, college savings. She had believed my parents were putting some into an account for my future. I had never seen it. A letter from Mom explained why. Hannah already has the benefit of living with you without paying for anything. Lauren's activities are expensive, and we have to keep things fair. I'm using the check toward dance tuition this semester. Please stop earmarking money. We know what both girls need. Another. The college fund cannot be separate. One family means one pool. A note from Grandma in red pen. No, Hannah's money is Hannah's. Another letter from Dad. Evelyn, I know you are angry. Diane feels Lauren loses out because so much of your attention goes to Hannah. I'm trying to keep peace. Please don't send checks directly anymore. Keep peace. There it was again. I found a ledger Grandma kept because apparently retired librarians document betrayal with frightening efficiency. Between ages 8 and 18, she sent roughly $46,000 intended partly for my schooling, clothes, college savings, and activities. Most went through my parents. Grandma later discovered much had been used for Lauren's dance competitions, family vacations I did not attend, house repairs, and eventually Lauren's first car. $46,000 would not have made my life effortless. It would have meant fewer double shifts, less debt, a chance to graduate sooner. But the money hurt less than the lie. I had spent years believing my parents did not help because they could not. They had been receiving help specifically for me and redirecting it because my absence made my needs feel less urgent. Then I found the letters about why I was sent away. Mom wrote, "Hannah watches everything. She notices when Robert and I disagree and asks questions in front of Lauren. Lauren copies her moods. The house is calmer when Hannah is gone." Another. "I know she wants to come home, but I finally feel like I can breathe here. Lauren deserves a childhood that isn't shaped by Hannah's intensity." Another. "Robert keeps saying we should bring her back. I told him if he does, he can handle the consequences. I cannot parent a child who looks at me like she's waiting for me to fail." That sentence destroyed something inside me because I knew exactly what she meant. I had always watched my mother carefully. Not judgmentally, carefully. Children monitor unpredictable adults because prediction feels like safety. Mom had interpreted vigilance as accusation. Then came Dad's letters. I don't agree with keeping her away this long. I miss her. Diane says bringing her home will destroy the progress we've made with Lauren. I'm ashamed that I keep choosing the easier argument. Please tell Hannah I love her. Grandma had written beneath that one. Tell her yourself, coward. I laughed through tears. Then I found the answering machine. One saved message. Grandma had transferred it from an older tape years earlier. The date was December 2000. I was 8. I pressed play. My mother's voice. Younger, sharper, unmistakable. Keep Hannah through Christmas. Lauren is finally relaxed when she isn't here. Robert gets weak when Hannah cries, and then we're right back to everything revolving around her. Tell Hannah the school near you is better. Tell her whatever you need to tell her. I just need one child in this house who doesn't turn every day into a problem. Grandma's voice came on after the beep because she had recorded a response. You have 2 children, Diane. Mom. I know. Grandma. Do you? Mom. Don't start, Grandma. She asks every week when she's going home. Mom. Then stop making home sound like something waiting for her. My entire body went cold. Then Mom said, and don't send that money directly to her. She doesn't need to know what you're giving. I'll handle it. She already has you. Lauren has us. Click. I sat on the bedroom floor for almost an hour. The sentence hurt differently than everything else. She already has you. Lauren has us. At 8 years old, my mother had divided the adults. Grandma for Hannah, parents for Lauren. Not temporarily, structurally. Suddenly, every childhood photograph made sense. Every empty seat. Every missed birthday. Every joke about my independence. I had not naturally become independent. They had assigned me to the adult who would not abandon me, then used my survival as proof I had never needed them. In the bottom of the chest, Grandma had left a final letter. My Hannah, I am sorry I helped keep the peace longer than I should have. I believed giving you stability was more important than telling you every ugly thing your mother said. Maybe I was right when you were 8. Maybe I was wrong when you were 18. I do know this. You were not sent to me because you were difficult. You were sent because your mother found it easier to love you from a distance, where you could not challenge the story she wanted about herself. Your father knew. He hated it. He still allowed it. Lauren was a child. Do not put adult guilt on the child who benefited, but do not let anyone tell you the arrangement happened because you wanted it. It did not. You asked to go home for years. I heard you. I remember. If they become interested in you after I am gone, ask yourself what changed. If the answer is your usefulness, protect yourself. I love you. You never had to earn that here. I held that letter against my chest and cried harder than I had at the funeral. 3 weeks later, Northline sold. We had been negotiating for months with a national healthcare technology company. Grandma knew the deal might happen but died before closing. The sale was substantial. Not billionaire money. More money than anyone in my family had ever had. Enough that I would never need to work for survival again if I was sensible. Enough to attract attention. An industry publication ran a profile with my photograph. Headline: From hospital analyst to 8. Figure exit. Hannah Reed's quiet build. 40. 8 hours later, Mom called. Sweetheart. I nearly dropped the phone because I could not remember the last time she had called me that. Hi, Mom. I saw the article. Okay, you look beautiful. Thank you. Your grandmother would be so proud. That sentence irritated me because Grandma had been proud when the company was a spreadsheet in my kitchen. She was. How are you holding up? Fine. I've been thinking about you constantly. Since Tuesday? Silence. Hannah. What? I don't want us doing this forever. Doing what? Being strangers. We're not strangers. You know what I mean. Not really. We're family. Okay. Lauren is engaged. There it was. 7 minutes. I had timed it mentally without meaning to. Congratulations. She wanted to tell you herself. She has my number. Things are awkward. Why? Because you've been distant. I almost admired the efficiency. My distance had apparently traveled back through time and caused every prior exclusion. What does Lauren's engagement have to do with us reconnecting? Nothing directly. Directly. Mom, can we have Thanksgiving together? Here, everyone. No fighting. No old grievances. Your father misses you. Dad can call. He feels ashamed. That sounds like his problem. This is exactly what I mean. You've become so hard. I looked at Grandma's letter on the kitchen counter. I'm thinking about Thanksgiving. Really? Her voice brightened. Maybe. Lauren would love that. Would she? Of course. Then tell her to call. Lauren called that night. She sounded nervous. Hi. Hi. So, I'm engaged. Mom told me. Of course she did. We both laughed slightly. Familiar reflex. Congratulations. Thanks. Do you love him? Yeah. Then I'm happy for you. She exhaled. I didn't know if you'd be weird. About what? Everything. That narrows it down. Mom says you're angry about Grandma's estate. Grandma's estate is not an issue. Okay, did Mom say anything else? That you're grieving and maybe reading things into the past. My stomach tightened. Interesting. What does that mean? Nothing. Hannah. Were you planning to invite me to the wedding? Silence. Yes. As a guest, obviously. Are you asking because you want me there, or because Mom told you to? Lauren became defensive. Why do you always do that? Do what? Make everything a test. Grandma's letter echoed. A child who looks at me like she's waiting for me to fail. I'm asking a question. Yes, I want you there. Okay. And Thanksgiving. Maybe. She paused. I know Mom hurt you. Do you? Some. Do you know she called my graduation a failure ceremony? Yes. Did you know she was at your bridal showcase that day? I wasn't a bride. I know. I felt terrible. Did you leave? Silence. No. Okay. I was 25. I know. You always make it sound like I was choosing her over you. Sometimes you were. You're my sister. Yes. I love you. I love you too. Then why does talking to you feel like being audited? The irony was almost funny given my career. Because I stopped accepting vague answers when specific behavior hurt me. That sounds exhausting. Sometimes, we ended gently enough. I agreed to Thanksgiving. Mom immediately started texting. I'm so happy. This means everything. Grandma would be relieved. That one made me angry enough to mute the thread. 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, Mom asked if we could talk about one exciting family idea. I said she could email. She sent a glossy PDF titled A New Chapter for the Reads. I opened it and laughed because apparently my family had created a pitch deck for my emotions. Page 1. Photograph of our old Bellevue house. Page 2. Lauren and fiancé Michael under autumn leaves. Page 3. Grandma Evelyn smiling at a picnic. Caption. Her legacy was family. The proposal was simple beneath the sentiment. Lauren wanted a vineyard wedding outside Woodinville. Cost around $130,000 after everything. Mom and Dad wanted to repair their aging roof, replace the backyard deck, and pay down some debt. Lauren and Michael wanted help with a down payment because housing near Seattle was expensive. Mom suggested creating a family reserve so future emergencies did not become stressful. Total request, $240,000. My name appeared on the final page beneath the words, Founding Gift from Hannah Reed. I had not agreed to anything. I called Mom. Why is my name already on this? It's a draft. Why is it called a gift? Because we're speaking positively. To whom? Just family. Who has seen it? Silence. Diane. I almost never called her by her first name. Lauren. Your father. Aunt Susan. Michael's parents. My chest went cold. Michael's parents think I'm paying for the wedding? They know you may help. That is not the same thing. Why are you so defensive? Because you volunteered money that isn't yours. Nobody volunteered anything. My name is under founding gift. It's a concept. Remove it. Hannah, remove it. Fine. She hung up. 10 minutes later, Lauren texted. Why did you upset Mom? I stared at the screen. Ask her. She said you're freaking out because she put your name on a draft. Correct. It's family planning. Planning my money without me is not family planning. You can afford it. There it was. That doesn't answer whether I agreed. I thought after the sale you'd want to do something meaningful. I am doing meaningful things. For us. 2 words. For us. Why? Because we're your family. Were you my family at graduation? Silence. Seriously? She wrote. You're still going back to that? It's one example. You're worth millions now and still mad about a graduation from 5 years ago. That sentence explains more than you think. She did not reply. The next day, Mom posted a photograph of Lauren trying on wedding dresses. Caption: So grateful for the season of restoration our family is entering. Sometimes success gives us the chance to pour back into the people who poured into us. My stomach actually turned. Poured into us. I saved the screenshot. Grandma's old habit had become mine. Evidence against gaslighting. I did not comment, a former neighbor did. Is Hannah helping with the wedding? How wonderful, Mom replied with a heart. That was the moment I decided I would go to Thanksgiving with the voicemail. Not to humiliate anyone. Not yet. I still hoped, absurdly, that if confronted privately, they would tell the truth. I drove to Bellevue Wednesday afternoon. Stayed at a hotel. Mom objected. Your room is here. Do I have a room? Silence. Of course. Which one? We redid the office. The office was my childhood room. Hannah, do not start. Hotel is fine. When I arrived Thanksgiving morning, the house looked exactly the way social media wants Thanksgiving to look. White pumpkins, linen napkins, flowers, candles, Mom in cream cashmere. Dad wearing the sweater she bought him every year. Lauren and Michael arrived at noon. Lauren hugged me stiffly. You came. I said I would. I wasn't sure. I usually do what I say. She heard it. Can we have one nice day? I'd love that. For several hours, we almost did. Michael was easy to like. High school principal. Divorced parents. Thought family dinners were chaotic in a good way. He asked about Grandma. I talked about her library career. Lauren relaxed. Dad and I had a conversation about baseball. Mom did not mention money. I began to wonder whether the whole request would wait. Then I saw the seating cards. Mine said Hannah. No family title. Lauren said bride-to-be. Mom said mother of the bride because apparently Thanksgiving had become a pre-wedding event. Fine. Then I noticed a framed sign on the sideboard. A family built by love, sustained by generosity. Beneath it, photographs. Dad and Mom. Lauren as a baby. Lauren at dance. Lauren graduating high school. Lauren graduating college. Lauren and Michael. Grandma. No photograph of me before age 28. Then one image from the article about my company sale. My professional headshot. My success had entered the family album before my childhood did. I stood staring long enough for Dad to approach. Your mother put this together. I noticed. She's trying. Trying what? To include you. I pointed. There are 11 pictures of Lauren and one of me. Hannah, my company headshot. What do you want her to do? Invent old photos. They existed. He looked down. Grandma had them. So did you. Silence. Dad, why did you let me stay gone? His eyes filled immediately. Not now. That sentence again. Please. When? After dinner. Will you answer honestly? I'll try. That's not good enough anymore. Mom called us to the table. Dinner began. 21 people. Extended relatives. Michael's parents. Aunt Susan. Cousins. People who had heard some version of me for years without knowing me. Mom was charming. Dad quiet. Lauren nervous. After the first course, Aunt Susan raised her glass. To Lauren and Michael. Everyone toasted. Then she added, and to Hannah. We're all so proud of what you've accomplished. Polite applause. I smiled. Thank you, Mom said. We always knew she'd do something extraordinary. My fork stopped. Dad closed his eyes. Lauren stared at Mom. Aunt Susan smiled. You must be so proud. Of course. I looked at my mother. Always? Her face tightened. Hannah, I'm asking. This is not the time. You just told everyone you always believed in me. I do. You called my graduation a failure ceremony. Michael looked at Lauren. Aunt Susan whispered, What? Mom laughed softly. Oh, for heaven's sake. I said you were making too much of graduating late. You said it was a failure ceremony. I was frustrated. You skipped it for a bridal showcase, Lauren said. Mom, she's right. Mom looked at her sharply. We are not doing this. I felt my heartbeat settle rather than rise. Okay. I put down my fork. Then let's talk about the thing you do want to discuss. Mom looked cautious. What? My $240,000. The room changed. Michael's mother looked at him. Michael looked at Lauren. Lauren flushed. Aunt Susan stared. Mom said, That is private. Then why do Michael's parents know I'm considering paying for the wedding? Michael's father immediately said, We were told the families were discussing support. I was never part of that discussion, Lauren whispered. Mom. Diane's face reddened. This is exactly why I wanted to discuss it calmly after dessert. The PDF says founding gift from Hannah Reed. Dad said, Diane, I told you that was too much. Mom snapped. Not now, Robert. I almost laughed. Apparently Dad's favorite sentence has evolved, Michael said quietly. Lauren, did you know Hannah hadn't agreed? Lauren's eyes filled. I thought she probably would. Why? Because Mom said... She stopped. My mother reached for her wine. This has become ridiculous. Hannah has done incredibly well. We are happy for her. Nobody is demanding anything. We simply thought helping her sister start her marriage and helping her parents maintain the home she grew up in might be a meaningful gesture after the family supported her for years. Supported me. I looked at Dad. He would not look back. What support? Mom laughed. Excuse me? Name it. We raised you. Until 8. We were still your parents. From 3.5 hours away, you chose to stay with Evelyn. There it was. Lauren's head turned toward Mom. What? I felt something inside me go cold and clear. Say that again? Mom hesitated. You were happier there. That is not what you said. You stopped asking to come home. After years. Hannah, your grandmother encouraged the separation. Did she? Yes. You're sure? Absolutely, Dad whispered. Diane. She ignored him. My mother liked having you to herself. She always competed with me. She made you think we rejected you. I reached into my bag. Mom saw the old phone. Her face changed. What is that? Grandma's answering machine recording. Dad whispered my name. Hannah. You told me you'd answer honestly after dinner. I'm saving everyone time. I pressed play. Static. Grandma's voice. Then Mom's. Keep Hannah through Christmas. Lauren is finally relaxed when she isn't here. Robert gets weak when Hannah cries. And then we're right back to everything revolving around her. Tell Hannah the school near you is better. Tell her whatever you need to tell her. I just need one child in this house who doesn't turn every day into a problem. The table froze. Lauren covered her mouth. Mom said, Turn that off. I did not. Grandma's voice. You have 2 children, Diane. Mom. I know. Grandma. She asks every week when she's going home. Mom. Then stop making home sound like something waiting for her. My father started crying before the next line. Mom's recorded voice continued. And don't send that money directly to her. She doesn't need to know what you're giving. I'll handle it. She already has you. Lauren has us. Click. Nobody moved. I turned off the phone. Mom's face had become gray. That was one conversation. I have letters. You invaded private correspondence. Grandma gave them to me. She was bitter. She kept copies of checks too, Dad said. Enough. I looked at him. Did you know Grandma was sending money for me? Silence. Lauren whispered. Dad? He started crying harder. Yes, my entire body felt heavy. How much? I don't know. Around 46,000 before I was 18, Aunt Susan gasped. Mom snapped. That money was for the family. The checks said Hannah. Evelyn was trying to control us financially. So you used them for Lauren? Lauren recoiled. What? Mom said. Not all of it. Dance tuition. Vacations. Her car. You don't know every expense from 20 years ago. Grandma kept your letters. Lauren pushed back from the table. My car? Dad covered his face. Mom said, Lauren, this is not about you. Apparently it was. You were a child. Did Grandma send money for Hannah that you spent on me? We used money according to need. Did she? Lauren, answer me. My mother stood. I will not be interrogated at my own table. I stayed seated. Interesting. You had no problem presenting a budget for my money at this table. You are enjoying this. That hurt because I did not want it to be true. I searched myself. Was there satisfaction? Yes. Not at their pain. At the truth finally taking up physical space. No, I said. I'm tired. You planned this. I brought proof because I knew you'd lie. I am your mother. Yes. Does that mean nothing to you? It meant everything to me for years. Her eyes filled. Then why are you doing this? Because you are telling people you supported me so I will fund Lauren's wedding. This is not just about a wedding. I know. We are trying to rebuild the family. With an invoice, Aunt Susan whispered. Diane. Mom turned. Stay out of this. Aunt Susan looked furious. You told me Hannah wanted to live with Evelyn. Mom said nothing. You told all of us. She adjusted better there. She was 8. You don't understand what the house was like. Then explain, I said. What was I doing? You were angry. About being sent away? Before that, what did 8-year-old me do? Mom's hands began shaking. You watched me constantly. You questioned everything. You would ask why Lauren got something you didn't. You told your father things I said privately. You created tension. I stared. I was a child, noticing favoritism. You were intense. I was 8. Stop saying 8 like age means children cannot affect a family. The room went dead silent. There. The sentence she had probably believed for decades. My mother was crying now. Nobody understands what it was like. Lauren was easy. She slept. She played. She hugged me. Hannah looked at me like I was always failing her. Were you? I asked quietly. She stared. Dad whispered. Hannah. No, Dad. I want to know. Mom's face changed. Maybe I was. That almost softened me. Then she added, but you made it impossible to feel like anything I did was enough. There it was again. Adult responsibility assigned backward. I was not your performance review. I know that now. Do you? I tried to give you a stable place with Mom. You gave me away to the person who loved me, and then punished me for loving her back. Mom sobbed. Lauren stood. I need air. Michael went with her. Dad finally looked at me. His eyes were red. I should have stopped it. Yes. I told myself you were safe with Evelyn. I was. I told myself Loneway needed us more. She had both of you. I know. I had Grandma. I know. And you used that as permission to disappear? He nodded. That honesty hurt more than excuses. Yes. Why? He stared at his hands. Because your mother said she would leave. Mom snapped. Robert. He looked at her. Something changed in his face. No, she deserves this. Then to me, Diane said if I brought you home permanently, she would take Lauren and go. She said the household could not survive both girls because everything became comparison and conflict. My mother said, that is not exactly what I said. Dad laughed bitterly. It was close enough. I whispered. So you chose. Yes, you chose Lauren. I chose keeping the marriage. Same outcome. His face collapsed. I know. I stood because I suddenly needed distance from the table. Lauren came back from the patio. Her eyes were red. Did you know? I asked her. No. Any of it? I knew Mom said you preferred Grandma. Did you believe it? Yes. Why? Because you never came home. I almost laughed. I was waiting for someone to get me. Lauren started crying. I was a kid. I know. Later I should have asked. Yes. I didn't. No. Mom said. Stop making your sister apologize for having a childhood. I'm not. Lauren turned toward Mom. You always do that. Do what? Answer for me. I'm protecting you. From Hannah? From guilt? Lauren laughed through tears. Maybe I should feel some. I said. You were a child when this started. I do not blame you for my childhood. But graduation? You were 25. She nodded. Yeah. The bridal showcase? Yeah. The family pictures? Yeah. The years you let Mom tell people I hated coming home? Lauren wiped her face. Yeah. Those are yours. She nodded again. I know, Mom said. This is sick. You come in here with recordings and ledgers and spend Thanksgiving assigning blame. I looked at her. You invited me because I had money. No. Would this folder exist if Northline had failed? Silence. Would you have called me sweetheart? That is cruel. Would you? I was trying to reconnect. 3 weeks after the acquisition article. Grandma died. 3 weeks before that. That made me rethink things. Then why is the first concrete thing you asked from me money? She had no answer. Dad whispered. Diane. Mom slammed her palm on the table. Because she can afford it. Everyone jumped. There it was. Yes, she said, voice shaking. Because you can afford it. Because Lauren has student loans. Because houses cost a fortune. Because your father and I are getting older and this house needs work. Because one person in this family suddenly has more money than she could spend in 3 lifetimes, and everyone is acting like it's obscene to expect her to help. I felt strangely calm. Thank you. For what? For being honest. Do not patronize me. I'm not. Family shares. Sometimes. Your grandmother taught you nothing about loyalty. I laughed. Grandma raised me. Exactly. She got all the reward while I got blamed. You sent me to her. I was overwhelmed. For 11 years? You stopped wanting to come back. I reached for the phone again. Mom screamed. Do not play that thing again. I stopped. Not because she told me. Because I did not need it anymore. I'm not giving you $240,000. Her entire body went still. Fine. I'm not paying for Lauren's wedding. Lauren said immediately. Okay. Mom turned. Lauren. No, she shouldn't. Do not be ridiculous. Mom, stop. Michael's parents are contributing. That's their choice. We already made deposits. Then we adjust. My mother stared at her favorite child as though betrayal had arrived from the wrong direction. After everything I've done for you, Lauren flinched. I almost laughed because there it was, now pointed at her. Mom, you wanted that venue. I still do. Then why are you letting Hannah destroy it? Lauren looked at me, then at Mom. Hannah isn't destroying my wedding by not paying for it. Michael returned from the patio doorway and said, We can afford a smaller wedding. Mom's face crumpled. Everyone is suddenly so noble because I'm the villain, Dad whispered. Nobody said villain. You all think it. I picked up my bag. I don't. Mom looked at me. Really? I think you are a person who spent years choosing whatever story protected you from guilt. I think Dad spent years helping because silence was easier. I think Lauren benefited and learned not to look too closely. I think I survived by pretending not needing you was the same as not wanting you. None of us are simple. Then stay. No. Hannah. I'm leaving because I don't want to stay. You're doing what you always do, running to Grandma's. The sentence hit like she had chosen it specifically to find my oldest wound. I looked at her. Grandma is dead. Mom's face changed. I didn't mean... I know. Tears filled my eyes. But that is the difference between us. I spent my whole life translating what you meant. I'm done doing that. What you say counts now. I walked toward the door. Dad followed me. Please. Not tonight. When? I don't know. I love you. I stopped. I believe you. He looked surprised. You do? Yes. Then, love doesn't undo cowardice. He began crying. I know. Good night, Dad. Lauren came into the hallway. Can I call you? Yes. Really? Yes. Will you answer? Probably, she laughed through tears. Fair. Mom remained at the dining table. I could see her through the doorway surrounded by half-finished plates, candles, flower arrangements, and relatives who suddenly knew the version of family history she had spent decades controlling. I did not feel victorious. I felt 8 years old and 33 at the same time. Then I stepped outside. Rain had started. Of course it had. Pacific Northwest family trauma apparently requires weather. I drove to my hotel and cried so hard in the parking lot that I could not get out of the car for 20 minutes. Maya called. I had told her enough beforehand to know something might happen. How bad? Bad. Do you want advice? No. Food? Yes. Good. I'm sending noodles. Friends who ask what kind of support you want are a miracle. The family fallout began before the noodles arrived. Aunt Susan texted, I'm sorry, I believed your mother. Cousin Matt. I had no idea. Someone else. This is a lot. Maybe social media silence would be best. I had posted nothing. Interesting advice. Mom posted first at 10:14 p.m. A photograph of the Thanksgiving table taken before dinner. Caption. Sometimes the holidays remind us that success cannot heal an ungrateful heart, praying for unity and humility. 43 likes in 15 minutes. Then Lauren commented, Please take this down. Mom deleted Lauren's comment. Lauren posted again. Mom, Hannah did not ruin Thanksgiving. Stop. Mom deleted that too. Screenshots traveled. Of course they did. I did not comment. At 11:02, Mom texted me. Are you happy now? I answered, no. Then why did you do it? Because truth and happiness are different things, she replied. Your grandmother poisoned you against me. I looked at Evelyn's final letter. Grandma spent years protecting your image, I wrote. Mom did not respond. The next morning Lauren called. I'm sorry. For what specifically? Fair, she inhaled. Graduation. The family photos. Letting Mom explain you to me instead of asking you. Letting her tell me you preferred Grandma when I should have noticed you were always the one calling me. I closed my eyes. Thank you. Also the wedding. You didn't know she put my name on the proposal? I knew. That hurt. Okay, I thought you'd say yes. Why? Because I knew you had money. Honest. Okay. I hate how that sounds. Good. Hannah. I mean it. If you hate how it sounds, you might change it. She cried. I think I believed you owed us something. Why? Because Mom always said Grandma paid for your whole life. I almost laughed. She used Grandma's money for you. Silence. I know. How? Dad told me last night. Of course he did. He's a mess. He should be. Mom says you're tearing the family apart. What do you think? Long pause. I think the family was already torn apart. We just had good pictures. That line stayed with me. Are you still getting married? Yes. Good. Smaller. Okay. Michael wants City Hall and dinner. I still want something pretty. Both can happen. Mom says if we cut the venue now, we'll lose 12,000. Then you decide whether 12,000 is worth spending more you don't have. She laughed weakly. You sound like Grandma. Best compliment you've ever given me. We talked for an hour. For the first time in our lives, neither of us was using Mom as translator. It was awkward. Sometimes defensive. Honest. I learned Lauren had spent years believing I looked down on her. You barely visited. I didn't feel welcome. Mom said you hated Bellevue. I hated sleeping on a sofa while my old bedroom held scrapbook paper. I didn't know that bothered you. Why wouldn't it? Because Mom said you liked Grandma's house better. I did. Because I had a bed there. Lauren laughed, then cried. We were raised in different families. Same adults. Different families. Yeah. She asked whether I hated her. No. Ever? Sometimes. Fair. Do you hate me? Sometimes. We both laughed. That honesty was strangely comforting. My relationship with Dad was harder. He wrote me a 12-page letter. Actual paper. Mailed to Grandma's house. He admitted everything. Mom sending me away. Him agreeing. The money. The graduation. I told myself each individual decision was temporary, he wrote. One more month at Evelyn's. One more holiday. One more check used somewhere else because you were being cared for. One more time letting Diane say you preferred distance. I never made one decision to abandon you. I made hundreds of small decisions not to bring you back. The result was the same. That sentence destroyed me because it was true. Harm does not require one dramatic act. Sometimes cowardice arrives in installments. He wrote, I missed you. That fact does not help you. I know. He wrote, I was afraid your mother would leave with Lauren. I was afraid of divorce. I was afraid of being alone. I made my fear your childhood. He apologized without asking me to forgive him. That mattered. I waited 3 weeks before answering. I received the letter. I believe you. I'm not ready to have a normal relationship. Please don't ask me to make you feel better about that. He replied, understood. For once, he understood without negotiating. Mom did the opposite. She escalated. Vague posts. Children remember every parental mistake but forget every sacrifice. Adult daughters sometimes rewrite childhood when success makes them arrogant. A grandmother can manipulate a child by pretending rescue is love. That one made me furious enough to type a response. I deleted it. Grandma was dead. She did not need Facebook defense. Then Mom started contacting mutual friends. Hannah is obsessed with old letters. Grief has made her unstable. Money changed her. It hurt. Then something unexpected happened. People got bored. Drama without reaction dies quickly. I did not post. Lauren stopped defending Mom publicly. Dad deactivated Facebook completely. Aunt Susan quietly corrected the few relatives who called. The story lost oxygen. Mom was left talking mostly to people who already agreed with her. I began therapy again. Not because I was collapsing. Because success had given me the luxury of noticing I was still living like scarcity could return any minute. I checked bank accounts too often. Bought the cheapest versions of things despite having enough. Worked 70-hour weeks even after the sale contract no longer required it. My therapist asked, what happens if you rest? Nothing. Emotionally, I feel useless. There it was. I had built my whole identity around proving the child they sent away could become impossible to dismiss. Then I succeeded beyond what I imagined and discovered, achievement does not automatically turn off the courtroom in your head. You can stop needing your parents' money while still trying to win a trial they do not know is happening. Northline's sale made me financially secure. It did not make me emotionally free. That took slower work. I bought Grandma's house from the estate even though I did not need to. It was already mostly coming to me, but other small shares went to family, and I wanted everything clean. I renovated carefully, not luxury. New roof. Better insulation. Kept the scratched kitchen table. Kept Grandpa's crooked porch. Turned Grandma's bedroom into a reading room because I could not sleep there. I stayed in Portland part of the week during my consulting transition. Astoria the rest. One afternoon, sorting old library boxes, I found a photograph of Mom at 17 holding me as a baby. She was laughing, not performing, not posed. Looking directly at me with obvious love. I sat on the floor and cried. People want toxic family stories to be simple. She never loved you. But sometimes they did. Sometimes love existed, and was still not strong enough to overcome selfishness, fear, jealousy, pride, untreated wounds, or the need to control how a family looks. That is harder, because it removes the comfort of calling everything fake. Mom loved me. I believe that. She also hurt me repeatedly. Both can be true. Love is not a safety certification. Lauren and Michael married the following summer at a small botanical garden outside Seattle. 58 guests. No vineyard. No six-figure flowers. No house down payment from me. Lauren invited me herself. I want you there. Not Mom? Me. Okay. Would you stand with me? I froze. As what? My sister. Bridesmaid? Kind of. What does kind of mean? I'm not doing a traditional wedding party. Just you and Michael's brother as witnesses. My throat tightened. Why? Because if we're going to build something new, I don't want the picture to start with you outside it. I cried. That sounds suspiciously therapeutic. Very expensive therapy. Runs in the family, apparently. I said yes. Mom attended the wedding. Lauren had established rules. No speeches without approval. No social media posts before the couple posted. No family healing toast. No asking me for money. Mom agreed after threatening not to come. Lauren said, "That's your choice." Mom came. Growth can begin because the favored child finally says the thing the scapegoat was punished for saying. At the reception, the photographer gathered immediate family. I almost stepped away automatically. Lauren grabbed my wrist. "Where are you going?" I thought, no. She placed me beside her. Mom stood on the other side. Dad at the edge, because Lauren and he were rebuilding too. Michael beside her. Camera flashed. For once, I was in the photograph. I did not feel healed. I felt sad for every photo that had taught me absence was normal. Then Lauren whispered, "You okay?" "Yeah. Liar. Later." "Okay." After dinner, Mom approached me near the garden path. "You look beautiful." "Thank you. Can we talk? About us?" "Not today." Her face tightened. Old pattern. "Of course." She started to turn, then stopped. "I'm trying, Hannah." "I know. Does that matter?" "Yes." She looked surprised. "It doesn't mean you get the conversation today." Tears filled her eyes. "Okay." She walked away. That was the first time I saw her accept a boundary without punishing me immediately. Small. Not enough. Real. Dad and I started having breakfast once every few months. Neutral places. No holiday pressure. He never asked for money. Never asked me to speak to Mom. At the third breakfast, he brought an envelope. "What's this?" "Old bank statements." My stomach tightened. "I don't want more." "Not evidence." "Then what?" "I opened an account for you when you were 10. I almost laughed. "Secret kindness?" His face fell. "Yes. Dad. I know. How much?" "Not much. I'd put $50 here, 100 there." Diane knew eventually. We stopped. "Why are you showing me?" "Because I used to think these private gestures proved I was a good father despite what I let happen publicly." He looked at me. "They don't." I said nothing. "I wanted you to know. I finally understand that." "Thank you." Secret kindness is not protection. No. Your grandmother wrote that in one of her letters. I smiled. Sounds like her. She hated me. She was disappointed in you. Worse. We laughed slightly. He asked whether he could visit Grandma's house someday. Maybe. Okay. He did not ask again. 6 months later, I invited him. He arrived with no luggage because I had said lunch only. That detail mattered. People who respect boundaries do not bring overnight bags to a lunch invitation. He stood in Grandma's kitchen and cried. She kept everything. Not everything. Enough. He touched the table. I should have come here more. Yes. I was embarrassed. Because Grandma judged you? Because she didn't need to. I knew. We walked to the river. He apologized again. I told him I did not need repeated apologies. Then what do you need? Consistency. Okay. That became our relationship. Smaller than father-daughter fantasy. More honest than what we had before. Mom took much longer. For almost a year we had no direct contact. She sent birthday flowers once. I returned them because the card said, "When you're ready to stop punishing your mother, I'll be here." A month later, she sent another card. That was manipulative. I'm sorry. I kept that one. Lauren remained in contact with her and refused to carry messages. Mom hated it. "Tell Hannah I miss her." Lauren said, "Tell Hannah yourself when she says contact is okay." She blocked me. Then that's your answer. You've changed. Yes, eventually, Mom started therapy. I know because Dad told me accidentally, then panicked. Was I not supposed to know? She didn't tell me not to. Then why are you panicking? Old habits. I did not contact her because she was in therapy. Therapy is not a ransom note that buys access. Months later, a letter arrived. No guilt. No Bible verse. No family photo. 3 pages. I have spent most of my adult life describing you as difficult because that word allowed me not to ask why you were unhappy with me. I read the sentence twice. When you were little, you watched my moods. I experienced that as judgment. My therapist asked me why a child would watch a parent so carefully. I did not like the answer. I cried. You were trying to understand whether I was safe. Then, I preferred Lauren's affection because she reassured me. You wanted explanations. I treated reassurance as love and questions as rejection. Then the hardest part, sending you to Mom, gave me relief. Once I experienced the house without the tension I associated with you, I kept extending the arrangement. I told myself you were happier there. I knew you asked to come home. I knew. I am sorry. No, but. No, you were difficult. No, Grandma influenced you. Just I knew. I wrote back one sentence. Thank you for finally saying that. She did not reply. 2 months later, I invited her for coffee in Portland. Public place. 90 minutes. She arrived early. No flowers. No gift. We sat. She looked older. I'm nervous. Me too. I rehearsed a lot. Probably don't use it. She laughed. Good sign. Okay. Silence. Then she said, I don't know how to be your mother now. I thought, maybe don't start there. What do you mean? Be a person I can know. Tears filled her eyes. Okay, I don't want the old relationship repaired. Because there wasn't much? Because the structure was wrong. She nodded. What would new look like? Slow. How slow? You asking that is already fast. She laughed through tears. Sorry. We talked about ordinary things. Her garden. My work. Lauren's new apartment. Grandma's house. She asked permission before bringing up my childhood. I said no that day. She accepted. At the end, she said, Can I hug you? My mother had hugged me hundreds of times in photographs, and maybe 20 times in a way I remembered. Yes. She hugged carefully, as if I could change my mind mid-embrace. I cried afterward in the car. Healing can be brutal because sometimes the person who hurt you begins becoming someone you might have needed, and there is no way to send that version backward in time. You can appreciate change and still grieve the years it missed. My money became another part of the story I had to get healthy around. The sale gave me options. My first instinct was to do something huge in Grandma's name. A foundation, building, program. My financial advisor asked, what would Evelyn actually enjoy? I laughed. She'd hate a building with her name. Then? I remembered Grandma paying library fines for students who could not afford them. Quiet things. She believed help should preserve dignity. So instead of creating a family-branded institution, I partnered with 3 community colleges in Oregon and Washington to fund scholarships for students over 24 finishing degrees while working or caring for family. No gala, no giant portrait. Each scholarship covered tuition, books, childcare assistance where needed, and a modest emergency fund. I called it the Evelyn Brooks Finish Line Scholarship because Grandma would have complained about the word legacy. The first year, 12 students received it. One was a 31-year-old single father studying respiratory therapy. One was a woman who had left college at 19 to care for her mother and returned at 37. One was 29 and working nights in a grocery store while studying data analytics. At the small award lunch, that student said, I thought graduating late meant I failed. I had to look down because I could hear my mother's old sentence. Failure ceremony. Afterward, I told her, finishing after life makes it harder is not failure. Sometimes it's the clearest proof you wanted it. She smiled. I went to my car and cried for 20 minutes. That was the moment Grandma's memory stopped feeling only like loss. It became instruction. 2 years after the Thanksgiving confrontation, Lauren became pregnant. She called me first after Michael. Don't tell Mom. Wow. I want 24 hours before she makes a nursery Pinterest board. Healthy. Therapy. Expensive? Still. She laughed, then became serious. I'm scared. Why? Because I know Mom loved us and still hurt us differently. Okay. What if I do that? You will hurt your kids somehow. Hannah, every parent does. Comforting. The goal isn't never causing pain. It's listening when your child tells you. She became quiet. I keep thinking about us. Me too. I'm sorry again. You don't need to keep apologizing. I know. I think I'm apologizing to old you because knew you won't let me overdo it. Correct. I wish I had asked why you stopped coming. You were being told why. I should have asked you. Yes. I will ask my kid. Good. When her daughter was born, Lauren named her Evelyn. She asked me first. Would that feel weird? A little. Bad? No. Mom cried when I told her. Of course. Dad too. Of course. Do you want to be godmother? You're not religious. Honorary emotionally stable backup adult? Absolutely. Being aunt to Evelyn changed something inside me. I did not have children. I still do not know whether I will. For years Mom used that uncertainty against me subtly. You'll understand when you have children. Lauren needs more because she has a family to build. After our repair began, she stopped. Once she almost said, when you have kids, then corrected herself. If you ever want them. Tiny. Huge. Dad died 3 years after the confrontation. Stroke. Sudden. I was on a flight to Chicago for consulting when Lauren called. I got off before takeoff and drove to the hospital. Mom was there. Lauren. Michael. Dad unconscious. I sat beside him and held his hand. Old anger and new love existing in the same body. He died 12 hours later. Before the stroke, our relationship had become something I valued. Not enough years. Enough truth. At his memorial, Mom asked whether I wanted to speak. Yes. I told people Dad was funny, conflict, avoidant, generous in private, and learning late how expensive silence can become. Some people shifted uncomfortably. Mom did not. Afterward, she said, he would have liked that. Even the silence part? Especially. We stood together without pretending the past had been different. After Dad died, Mom's instinct was to pull Lauren and me close. Old Diane might have announced family dinners and assumed access. Newer Diane asked, could we have Thanksgiving together this year? No pressure. Lauren looked at me. I said, maybe. Mom said, okay, no guilt. I went. We ate at Lauren's smaller house because Mom had sold the Bellevue home by then. She could not maintain it alone and, importantly, did not ask me to save it. The old house sold to a family with 3 kids. The day she moved, Mom found a box of my childhood things in the garage. Glow-in-the-dark stars. A soccer medal. School papers. She called. I found your things. Okay. Do you want them? Some. I can bring them. Mail photos first. She did. No assumptions. I chose the soccer medal, 2 books, a photograph of Grandma and me, and a terrible clay bowl I made in 2nd grade. Mom asked about the rest. Donate. Even the stuffed rabbit? I froze. You still have it? Apparently. I cried immediately. Send him. Him? His name is Walter. Of course it is. She mailed Walter with a note. I'm sorry I packed this before I understood what I was packing away. That note lives in a drawer. Mom and I never became the mother-daughter pair she and Lauren were. That used to feel like another defeat. Now I think relationships do not have to match to be real. She and I became careful friends with history. We talked once or twice a month. She visited Grandma's house after Dad died. The first time, she stood in the kitchen and cried before speaking. She loved you well. Yes, I was jealous of that. I know. That's ugly. It's human. You're being generous. No, understanding isn't absolution. She nodded. Grandma would have approved of that sentence. Mom walked through the house, saw the porch, saw the bedroom that had become mine. I thought Mom was stealing you. You sent me here. I know. Did you really think that? Yes, because every year you loved her more and needed me less. That is what happens when a person shows up, Mom cried. I know. You could have joined us. I was ashamed. Of Grandma? Of what she knew about me. There it was. Shame again. She always looked at me like she knew I was failing you. She did know. I hated that. So you avoided her. And you? Yes. I'm sorry. We sat on the porch for an hour. Not fixed. Real. The company's sale faded from family conversation over time, which was exactly what I wanted. I never told them my exact net worth. Lauren stopped asking completely. Mom once asked whether I had enough to retire. I said yes. Are you? No. Why? I like working. That is horrifying. We laughed. The $240,000 wedding folder disappeared into family mythology. Lauren kept it. Years later, she showed it to me. Why? Look at Mom's notes. In the margin beside Hannah contribution, Diane had written, "She may resist at first. Emphasize grandma and family healing." I stared. Wow, Lauren said. I kept it because anytime I start thinking maybe Thanksgiving wasn't as bad as I remember, I read that. Trauma scrapbook, basically. Burn it, maybe someday. Your call. Lauren's actual wedding cost around $32,000. Michael's parents contributed 10. Mom and Dad contributed 8. Lauren and Michael paid the rest. They rented for 3 years before buying a townhouse. Nobody died. Nobody's life was ruined because my money stayed mine. That sounds obvious now. It did not feel obvious then because family entitlement often hides behind hypothetical catastrophe. Without your help, the wedding will be ruined. It wasn't. Without your help, we can't repair the house. They financed the roof and delayed the deck. Without your help, Lauren can't buy. She waited. Without your help, family will fall apart. Family changed. Some pieces improved. Some relationships became smaller. The world continued. That is one of the most liberating things I learned. People often survive your boundary much better than they predicted, while trying to stop you from setting it. What they fear is not destruction. It is adaptation. They do not want to adapt because your surrender is easier. I also learned that success can make old family roles more dangerous, not less. People imagine money creates independence automatically. Sometimes it simply gives relatives a larger resource to project expectations onto. I stopped telling myself, it's only money. Money is time translated. It is work, risk, delayed comfort, opportunity, future security. Giving can be joyful. Being volunteered is different. I now give generously to people and causes I choose. I paid one of Grandma's old friend's medical travel expenses anonymously when she needed treatment in Portland. I helped Maya with part of a down payment after she asked, and after we discussed repayment, because she insisted. I fund scholarships. I tip absurdly well. I bought Lauren's daughter a tiny raincoat that cost more than any toddler coat should, because it had yellow ducks, and I lost all judgment. Generosity did not die when I said no to my family. Resentment did. Because choice returned. That is what boundaries gave me. Choice. I used to think boundaries were walls. They are doors you control. Sometimes the door stays closed. Sometimes you open it halfway. Sometimes someone knocks, and you decide not today. The people who love you safely understand that access and love are related but not identical. My father loved me and lost access to most of my childhood through his choices. My mother loved me and had to rebuild access slowly. Lauren loved me and learned that being my sister did not automatically entitle her to my money, my forgiveness, or my silence. Grandma loved me, and, even she, made mistakes by protecting me from truths longer than I needed. Nobody is perfect. Safety is not perfection. Safety is accountability. It is being able to say, I hurt you, without immediately adding, but look what you did to me. I am 38 now. I still live partly on the Oregon coast, though I also keep an apartment in Portland. I consult selectively. I serve on 2 healthcare boards and spend more time with the scholarship program than my accountant thinks is efficient. I have a partner named Caleb, a documentary editor who owns exactly 3 decent shirts and somehow survives. We are not married. Maybe someday. Mom likes him because he cooks. Lauren likes him because he makes fun of me. Little Evelyn adores him because he lets her press buttons on expensive equipment she absolutely should not touch. Last summer, Mom visited for 3 days. 3 days because that was what we agreed. She stayed at a nearby inn rather than assuming Grandma's house was hers. On the second evening, she brought takeout and sat at the scratched kitchen table with me. Do you ever wish you had exposed everything sooner? She asked. To whom? The family. The money. The recording. I thought. No. Why? 8-year-old me needed Grandma more than she needed the truth. 28-year-old me probably needed it. Mom nodded. I wish Evelyn had confronted me publicly. I raised an eyebrow. Really? Maybe humiliation would have made me change. Or made you harder. True. She looked at her hands. What made you change? I asked. Long silence. Lauren. That surprised me. Not me? You leaving made me angry. Lauren agreeing with you made me scared. Honest. Why? Because I had built my identity around believing you were the problem. Lauren was the child who proved I was a good mother. My throat tightened. When she looked at me at Thanksgiving and said, Hannah isn't destroying my wedding by not paying for it, something broke, Mom cried. I realized if Lauren could see what I was doing, maybe I had finally run out of people to blame. That was painful and useful. I wish I had been enough. She looked at me sharply. Enough for what? For you to change. Hannah, I know that's not fair. No, listen to me. She reached across the table, then stopped before touching my hand. Asked with her eyes. I nodded. She held it. You were enough when you were 8. My failure to change was never evidence you lacked power or worth. Children are not supposed to be powerful enough to fix their parents. I cried immediately. So did she. That may be the most important thing my mother ever said to me. Not because it repaired childhood. Because it stopped me from secretly measuring my childhood self by an impossible standard. Why couldn't I make them choose me? Children ask that even when adults do not hear it. If I had been sweeter, easier, quieter, prettier, more like Lauren, less observant, less angry, maybe Mom would have wanted me home. The answer was no. I was 8. It was never my job to become convenient enough for adults to behave correctly. That understanding changed the final piece of the story. For years, I thought my success was revenge because it proved they were wrong about me. Then I thought the truth was revenge because it exposed them. Now I think both ideas still gave them too much power. My life is not a rebuttal to my mother. My company did not become valuable because she called me a failure. The scholarships are not valuable because my parents misused money meant for me. My relationship with Lauren is not meaningful because it contradicts favoritism. Grandma's house is not precious because Bellevue rejected me. Those things are mine because I chose them. A life built only to prove someone wrong is still organized around them. Real freedom began when I stopped asking what my family would think of the next choice. Some of them changed enough to remain in my life. Some extended relatives disappeared because they preferred the simpler version where Mom was misunderstood and I was unforgiving. Fine. My contact list got smaller. My nervous system got quieter. That trade has been excellent. Every June, the scholarship program holds a small graduation dinner for recipients who finish their degrees. No champagne wall. No wealthy donors giving speeches about resilience they have never needed. Families are welcome if students want them. Friends, children, partners. Nobody has to explain why a parent is absent. Last year, a 42-year-old nursing graduate named Melissa crossed the room after dinner and hugged me. My mother didn't come. I'm sorry. She said graduating at 42 was embarrassing. My entire body froze. What did you say? Nothing. I almost skipped. But you came. Yeah, she smiled. My daughter came. Across the room, a teenage girl was taking photographs of her mother in a cap and gown. She screamed when they called my name. Melissa laughed. I think she embarrassed everyone. I looked at that girl and thought of Grandma, standing in the auditorium when I was 28, clapping before anyone else. Good, I said. Some moments deserve embarrassing applause. After everyone left, I sat alone for a while. Caleb found me. You okay? Yeah. You're crying. Graduations. Known side effect. He sat beside me. I told him again about the failure ceremony. He had heard it before. Safe people let you repeat old pain without acting like healing has a deadline. You know what Evelyn would say? He asked. Something about patio furniture. Probably. We laughed. Then he said, You built the ceremony you needed. I shook my head. No, I built one where nobody has to earn applause by finishing on schedule. That matters more. My mother attended the scholarship dinner once. I invited her because I wanted to, not because reconciliation required symbolic scenes. She sat in the back. When the first graduate crossed the stage, Mom stood and clapped. By the fourth, everyone was standing. Afterward, she approached me with red eyes. I understand. I did not ask what. I knew. I'm sorry. I know. I would give anything to be in that auditorium. You can't. I know. But you're here now. She nodded. That was enough for that day. I still have the screenshot of the garden luncheon Mom posted during my graduation. I still have Grandma's voicemail. I still have the letters. I do not look at them often. They no longer function as evidence. I believe myself now. That is another part of healing people rarely talk about. At first you save screenshots because you are terrified someone will convince you the hurt was not real. Later, if you heal enough, you do not need the file to remember where the boundary came from. You know. My mother said those things. My father allowed those things. My sister benefited from those things. My grandmother protected me, and sometimes protected adults too long. I survived. Everyone owns their piece. Nobody gets to rewrite it simply because the ending became kinder. And the kinder ending does not make the hard boundary wrong. If I had funded that wedding, ignored the letters, allowed Thanksgiving to become another transaction, I do not believe any of us would have changed. Lauren would have learned my money was the price of being included. Dad would have continued apologizing privately while letting Mom define reality publicly. Mom would have called reconciliation whatever arrangement restored access to me without requiring accountability. I would have smiled in the family photo and gone back to Oregon, carrying the same ache in more expensive clothes. Saying no did not destroy the family. It destroyed the version of family that required me to disappear in order for everyone else to feel comfortable. Something smaller and more honest grew afterward. That was worth the loss. So when people ask me whether I forgave my mother, I say yes, but not in the way people often mean forgiveness. I do not mean forgetting. I do not mean restoring the old relationship. I do not mean deciding what happened was understandable because she was stressed. I mean, I no longer need her suffering to balance mine. I no longer wake up wanting her to finally understand every detail. I no longer check whether she regrets the graduation luncheon or the money or the years I slept somewhere else. She understands enough. More importantly, I do. I know what happened. I know why it hurt. I know what I deserved. I know what I allow now. That is forgiveness with self-respect intact. And if she had never changed, I would still have been allowed to build this life without her. Her improvement is not the proof my boundary was correct. My safety is. That is the lesson I wish I could send backward to the little girl with 2 suitcases waiting for Christmas to end so her parents would come back. You do not have to become extraordinary to prove the people who overlooked you made a mistake. You were already worth coming back for. You were already worth an audience seat. You were already worth money being spent on your needs without somebody calculating whether another child deserved it more. You were already worth being photographed. You were already worth being asked what you wanted. You were already worth honesty. And when adults fail to give a child those things, the child's later success does not transform them into worthiness. It reveals how blind the adults were. My mother did not begin treating me better because I became valuable. I became valuable to her plans because I became wealthy. Those are different sentences. I had to understand the difference before I could build any relationship with her that was not another transaction. The money was never the real story. The wedding was not the real story. The letters were not even the real story. The real story was a child being told through thousands of small decisions that other people's comfort mattered more than her belonging. Then growing into an adult who finally stopped asking permission to believe her own experience. That was the thing my family never expected. Not the company's sale, not the money, not the voicemail. The dangerous thing I carried into Thanksgiving was the fact that I no longer needed them to agree with me about what they had done. Once you stop needing the people who hurt you to validate the wound, they lose the power to keep reopening it. And that is why, when I think back to that Thanksgiving table now, the moment that stays with me is not Mom's face when the recording played. It is the second after I said, "I'm not giving you $240,000, and realized I was still breathing. Nobody disappeared. The ceiling did not collapse. I did not become selfish because 21 people were uncomfortable. I simply kept what was mine: my money, my future, my version of the truth, and the right to decide who gets access to each one. So here is the question I would ask anyone listening, because people still divide hard on it. If the parents who sent you away as a child, skipped your graduation, redirected money meant for you toward your favored sibling, and only came back after you became wealthy later gave you genuine apologies and years of changed behavior, would you slowly rebuild the relationship like I did? Or would the fact that they only rediscovered you when your success became useful be enough for you to close the door permanently?